This is a story about getting out of your comfort zone, about doing something a little intimidating so you can get better. It's about working with old friends and new colleagues, in a new shop, in a new city. It's about making something you never would have tried on your own. And it's pretty great, but you can't build an Irish chair without an Irishman.
All right, Kentucky, here we come.
Let's go. This is me, James Wright, and Owen Reardon, learning chair making from Chris Schwarz at the legendary Lost Art Press in Covington, Kentucky, right across the river from Cincinnati. And if you've been watching my videos, it's no secret that Chris is a big influence on me. I've been following his work since he was the editor of Popular Woodworking, before Lost Art even existed. So how did I end up learning chair making with this amazing group of people? It was all James. A few months ago, James drove down to Lost Art, interviewed Chris, made a connection, and the two of them started talking. And then one day, out of the blue, I got an invitation to go build chairs with them. And then James got the idea to invite Owen. And since you can fly direct from Ireland to Cleveland Airport, it made the most sense for Owen to fly straight to me, and then I would drive the two of us down to Covington. And just by random chance, that poor Irishman landed in the middle of the longest, most bitter cold snap in Ohio history. Insane sub-zero temperatures and a foot of snow arrived just in time for a rock salt shortage to hit the Midwest, so the roads were a disaster. The airport is 15 minutes from my house, but it took an hour to get there, and the drive to Covington was death-defying. But we got there, and we got straight to work. Chris is an experienced teacher, and he knows how to get people through a project with minimum fuss. He had already prepped all the stock and laid out big plywood templates with seat shapes and drilling locations. And the first step was just roughing out the parts. Owen and James went hard with hand tools, which has its own risks.
Wow, so easy.
Wow. But Chris isn't shy about using the bandsaw, and since I already felt behind, I followed his lead, especially for cutting the chamfers in this massive elm seat. But this is still traditional woodworking, and once the waste is gone, it's straight to the number 5 to clean up those surfaces. And there's nothing funnier than a room full of content creators doing woodwork. Everyone is so busy pointing cameras at each other, it's a miracle we made anything. But Chris kept us on track by showing us all his chair-making tricks. He's got a million of them.
This is my favorite geometry trick because I'm always looking for the tricks where you don't, it doesn't matter. It's like, there's no measurement. So if you have a piece of square stock, you just make a line from corner to corner like this, right? And that's the whole layout. That's all you need to get an equilateral octagon. So you take the stock of your combination square and you put it so the blade touches the line like that and tighten it. And then that's the whole layout. You just go all the way around the leg, flipping it. And then after you go all the way around one way, you go all the way around the other. And then you just work down, you just take your jack plane, work down to those lines, and it's an equilateral octagon.
Brilliant.
Isn't that brilliant?
That is brilliant.
I didn't think of it.
Once you've got legs and a seat, it's natural to put them together. That means drilling big holes at compound angles. We used a bevel gauge, a cheap construction laser, and a spotter to stay on track.
Delightful.
And it was delightful, except I also drilled a hole right into the front of Chris's bench. And not a little hole either. Totally not embarrassing. Not at all. Chris was totally cool about it though, and next we had to drill the holes for these sticks right here that start at the seat, travel through the armrest, and then end at the comb. They're the only component in the chair that has to intersect 3 pieces at the same time. And for that, we sandwiched the armrest directly on the seat and drilled both at once to get the correct angle. Chris demonstrated this on his chair before I did mine. And I'm not sure how it happened, but James and Owen were already making and burnishing their sticks while I was still drilling. I guess I got too caught up filming, or I'm just slow. Either way, I needed to catch up fast. Luckily, the back and side sticks are easy to make. Cut the tenons with a Stanley 77 dowel maker, and then rough out the shape with a jack plane, and finish up with a finely set block plane. With the arms and the short sticks made, it was time to drill the short stick locations, and yeah, there's a lot of angles down here. This was pretty new to me, but Lost Art has an easy system for finding your drilling locations and angles. Chris's apprentice Kale was kind enough to walk me through the process using scrap dowels, chopsticks, and sticky tack to make sure all the stick locations and drilling angles look good and that they'll line up with the arms. After that, we moved to a new location with the chair set up on a low Roman bench and dim lighting that made it easy to see our construction laser. With Kale as my spotter, I was able to drill straight through the arms of my chair and into my seat at the same time, ensuring that the angles would be consistent and the sticks would be pretty easy to install during glue-up. Meanwhile, Owen's chair, which was a different design from mine, used a technique called sandwich drilling, where the arms and the seat can be clamped together and drilled in place, and the old brace and bit got the job done quickly. Then we all went out for tacos. They were really good. Once you have all of your holes drilled in the correct locations, you know that you're keeping all those parts, and now it's safe to put some time into shaping and contouring them. Believe it or not, the back comb of my chair is the only curved part in the whole piece. So no more hand planes. I did all the shaping of this part with a spoke shave and a scraper, and this is all elm, so the grain is difficult, but a sharp tool and a light cut will get you through. But the bad news is, once you've made all the parts, there's nothing left but to actually assemble the chair. And that's the moment where you figure out whether you wasted 3 days of shop time. The legs don't connect to anything else, so you put glue in the mortises and hammer them home. I cut slits in the tenons before I put them in, so now it's just a matter of wedging them with hickory and flush cutting the tenons. Chris has a great technique of flexing a Ryoba saw a little bit so you can cut just above the surface and finish off with a block plane and a bit of scraping. You need to get the seat cleaned up now before you install all the other sticks. By then, it's too late. Installing the back and side sticks is the most nerve-wracking part of the build. This is where you find out if you drilled all those angles correctly. These sticks are a lot slimmer than the legs and more fragile. They need to be hammered firmly into the mortises, but there's a real risk of breaking a stick or splitting the seat. One thing that helped was using fish glue, which is an animal glue like hide glue, but with a 2-hour open time. That means even a part that's been in the chair for a minute can be removed if something is really wrong. I didn't have to pull any of these sticks, but it was nice to know I could have. And I was right to be a little nervous about the angles of those back sticks. The comb just barely went on, and I ended up calling in the cavalry. Between the two of us, we did it, but it was a close call. Luckily, no one cares how close you came to disaster, as long as you save it at the last minute. And then, all of a sudden, you look up and everyone is done. And that thing you've spent weeks preparing for, the big professional moment, is just over. Before you know it, you're back home, trying to hold on to every detail, every scrap of knowledge, every laugh around the dinner table. And you're wondering if it even happened at all. Of course, I have evidence that it really happened. I'm sitting in it. This is the first stick chair I ever made, and I'm pretty delighted with the way it came out. It looks cool, it's comfortable, and I feel ready to make another one. If you'd like to study with Chris, but you don't have the opportunity, the next best thing is to read the Stick Chair book. Lost Art just came out with a revised edition. I've read the whole thing. I love it. It is jam-packed with all the information you need to start making chairs like this, even if you have no experience. If you'd like to read the Stick Chair book or any of the Lost Art Press books, don't look for them on Amazon. Go direct to lostartpress.com, or if you're outside of the States, you can buy the whole Lost Art catalog from Lee Valley. Big thanks to everybody else at Lost Art Press, including Megan Fitzpatrick, Chris's apprentice Kale and his daughter Catherine. They were all in the shop building chairs with us, and they put up with a lot of content creator nonsense over the 3 days, with us setting up cameras and lights and stumbling over each other. They were very patient. We really appreciate it. Big thanks to James Wright, my most valued colleague on YouTube. James and I go back a long way, and he deserves all the credit for setting this thing up. It never would have happened without him. Owen Reardon is not as much fun as you would expect. He is way more fun to hang out with, if that's even possible. He's funnier and more sarcastic. He's very chatty. The two of us were just, the entire time, there was very little quiet in the car when the two of us were together. It was a lot of fun. He thought America was bananas. At one point, I took him shopping and I had to film his reaction.
All right, so we're in a Dick's Sporting Goods, an enormous one. And what's your impression of this?
It's so big. Everything is huge. The cars are big. The shops are big. Massive.
Just an incredible impression of bigness in America.
Things for sale everywhere.
We're gonna buy some warmer socks, and we had to ask a fellow for directions.
So we'll go find them.
And even he wasn't totally sure.
Yeah, I missed that guy already. He flew home yesterday. Safe travels, Owen. I'll see you next time. Thanks to everybody who came out to the meetup. We had a bunch of people come out to meet in person, which was amazing. I spend most of my time filming videos alone, and it's great to actually know there are real people on the other side of the screen. If you traveled to meet all of us and hang out, thank you so much. It means the world to us. And patreon.com/Rex Krueger. If you like videos like this and you want to go deeper, you want to go behind the scenes, Patreon is the only way to do it. Patrons got a live stream direct from Lost Art, a long article I wrote about the experience with pictures, and a bunch of other stuff. If you like these YouTube videos, but you want to know more about what goes into them, more information, longer videos, Patreon is the place to get it. It's our premium experience. Anyway, wow, I have a cold. I am super tired. This has been a really great experience for me, and now I'm going to go home, drink a cup of tea, and pass out on the floor. That's going to be amazing. We'll see you real soon. Thanks for watching.